I've seen it happen a lot. Someone spots a subwoofer on sale for half the price, grabs it, and then spends the next few weeks trying to coax any sort of bass out of it, only to end up with a thud that feels more like a sad thump than the deep, room-shaking rumble they imagined. That buyer regret is real, especially when you're trying to upgrade a car audio system on a budget and you don't want to end up with a piece of equipment that looks good on paper but falls flat in the real world. If you're on the fence about whether you should splurge a little more for a name brand kit or stick with the cheapest option you can find, you'll want to hear this. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why the Alpine SB12V kit feels like a smarter buy than a generic 12-inch sub you might find at a discount retailer. Alpine has been in the car audio game for decades, and their subwoofer kits are designed to be plug-and-play for people who want a decent upgrade without spending weeks wiring and tuning everything from scratch. That convenience factor alone can be worth the extra few $100s, because the time you save isn't just idle, it's time you can spend actually listening to music, not Googling how to match an amp to a sub. The kit includes a 12-inch 600w subwoofer, a ported enclosure, an amp, and a bass knob controller. What matters most for most car owners is how those pieces work together once they're installed. In practice, the enclosure is already pre-drilled for the sub, so you don't have to worry about mismatched volume or port size. The amplifier is a modest 4-channel unit that's sized just right for the sub's power rating. It won't scream 600 watts into the cone, but it does give you enough headroom to push the bass without clipping. The bass knob sits on the dash, so you can dial in more or less low end on the fly, perfect for city driving versus highway cruising. Now, who should actually consider buying this kit? If you already have a decent head unit, or at least a stereo with RCA outputs, and you're looking to add a noticeable boost to your music without diving into a full-blown custom build, this is a solid middle ground. It's also a good fit for people who spend a lot of time in one vehicle, think daily commuters, rideshare drivers, or anyone who wants a consistent listening experience whether they're stuck in traffic or on an open road. The size of the enclosure, 12 inches, is a sweet spot for most compact sedans and hatchbacks. It won't take up the entire trunk, but it does provide enough acoustic space to let the sub move air effectively. On the flip side, you'll want to skip this kit if you're a hardcore audiophile chasing the deepest, most precise low frequencies, or if you already own a high-end component-level system. The Alpine sub is built for a good balance of power and practicality, not for the extreme SPL contests you'll see at car meets. Also, if you have a very small vehicle with limited trunk space, the 12-inch enclosure might still be too bulky, and you'd be better off with a 10-inch sealed unit that fits under a seat. Let's dig into a couple of real-world scenarios. Imagine a weekend road trip with a few friends, all of you blasting a mix of classic rock and modern pop. You've got the Alpine kit installed, and as you roll onto the highway, you turn the bass knob up a notch. Instantly, the kick drum on Uptown Funk feels tighter, and the low end on Hotel California gets that rolling, warm feel that makes the whole cabin vibrate subtly. You're not hearing a harsh distortion, just a clean, controlled thump that fills the space without shaking the windows. That's the kind of everyday utility the kit offers, enough boost to feel the music, but not so much that it becomes a nuisance to passengers. Contrast that with a scenario where you try to squeeze the Alpine sub into a purely sealed configuration, maybe because you're trying to save a couple of inches of space. You'll start to notice that the bass becomes muffled, lacking the punch that the ported design is meant to deliver. This isn't a flaw in the sub itself, it's a reminder that the enclosure's acoustic tuning is a hidden trade-off. The ported box is engineered to enhance efficiency at certain frequencies, so if you alter that setup, you're effectively undoing part of the kit's value proposition. Another practical point, the amp's built-in crossover is set to a reasonable default, but you'll likely want to adjust it to match your vehicle's interior acoustics. In a typical midsize sedan, I found that setting the crossover around 80 Hz gave a nice balance, enough low end to feel the bass, while still leaving room for the mids and highs to stay clear. If you push the crossover